This game's not won on social media. This game's not won on telephones. This game is won with shoulder pads, helmets, mouth guards, and sweat. That's how the game is won.
Coaches Show. This is episode 2, and we are coming off of a big win over Greenville. This show brought to you by Robert Brothers Comfort Systems and Dick Lumpkins Auto Body. Coach, Indians win 49-0 in what was only the second home game of this, now that half the season's over with. Nice win for us to get a shutout against a Greenville team before you get into the next game. But before we talk about the next game, let's talk about what that game was like for us. We really did a good job on offense and defense, and boy, you had to be happy with a lot of phases of the game for us.
Exactly. It was one of those games where everything, came about pretty well. I think we came out from the get-go and, established a lot of good things on offense and on defense. I think we were aggressive. I think we had a good plan going in as to what we wanted to do. Greenville had a couple people hurt, a little shorthanded, and as a result, we struck pretty quick. The bad thing is the half goes on, that running clock starts, and it's really hard to get everybody into the game, as much as you can. But I was really proud of the way our starters handled it. I thought our starters did well. We were virtually penalty free, no turnovers. We did allow a big pass on us, and defense rose up to the occasion, kept them out of the secondary. So I think overall we're pretty pleased with our performance.
Coach, there were a lot of things as I watched the film a little bit, just bits and pieces of the game. But one of the things that, and there were some great offensive performances by our skill guys and Jericho Burns and Caden Thomas and our receivers. But I thought our offensive line really did a nice job of imposing their will and really created a lot of opportunities for our guys in the backfield.
Yeah, I think so. I think, we actually did a couple things different in the offensive line in terms of technique, and very rarely do we change technique that much during the course of the season. But we just kept looking at some stuff, and I thought we were better suited to block a couple plays a little bit different than we had normally been doing it. And I thought the players really, it suited them more. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to adapt to what kind of things your players can do. And we've got a front. That front middle is 270, 280, and 304. And so those guys can, they've got good feet, and we want to make sure then we have them in a position where they're blocking to the best of their capabilities. And I think they kind of caught on, and they enjoyed it, and they graded out the highest they've graded out this year. So we'll continue with it.
Coach, no question, it was the line stuck out, but I also thought our defense. You talked about the goal line stance there when they got that nice big play. Greenville had a nice play there, but we also had a defensive touchdown there late in the game. Mm-hmm. I felt just watching our defense really continue to keep pressure on them, regardless of what the game score was. We didn't take the foot off the pedal.
Yeah, and sometimes that happens where you get a lead, and people start resting, people start doing this, people start doing this, and I really thought we kept our focus pretty well, and even into the third quarter, and then when the fact we got all the starters out of the game, which was important, because you never want to be in that situation. You want the younger guys to play, but more importantly, you don't want to have one of your starters sprain an ankle in the fourth quarter of a 49-0 game. That's probably my biggest concern. So I was in a hurry to get those guys out of there as much as possible.
Well, Coach, certainly when you can get a win, a league win at home, it certainly helps as we in the start of a 3-game homestand. And as we talk about a 3-game homestand, the Indians are 2-0 at home, 2-3 on the year, but we are 2-0 at home. And the good news is for the Indians, we come back at home for the next 2 Fridays, including the 140th edition
of what is probably the biggest game. And Coach, what I like about it is we don't act. We know it's. And if in the locker room and there are 2 signs in there that says "Beat Troy," there's a big sheet that's coming down from our school today that says "Beat Troy." The game is big. It's the game where you and I are. It's in the middle of the summer or in the spring, and we're in 2 different cities, and people are saying, "Oh, yeah, that's right. You guys play Troy. How are you guys going to do against Troy this year? What's that rivalry?" It's the game that everybody knows about.
It is, and I am proud to be a part of the rivalry, and proud that we have been able to get this entire program rolling. They've got an outstanding program, and I think what makes this rivalry also important is the fact that both these teams are always very relevant every season.
Mm-hmm. Coach, you talk about it. You've been here as the head coach since '92, was an assistant coach before then. This is your 27th game, as you shared with me today. 27th game, and again, what is the game? On a personal note, what's it like for you? 27. This 27th is this 27th just as exciting as it was this first one?
Yeah. I mean, it rolls in every once a year. It rolls up, and 1 year it rolled up twice. And every year, you get it going as soon as Friday night. That as soon as it hit double zeros in that clock at Greenville, it's the first thing I'm starting to think about. And you got some people that pay lip service to it and say, okay, we want to do this. We want to win this game. We want to win this game. I think the people around here really put in the time and effort to work at doing what they say they're going to try to do, and that is putting the time and effort into it and making this thing as big as possible. So we started as soon as we got those. As soon as that Greenville hit, I mean, you rolled in here after the game to congratulate everybody. Everybody was already, nose on the screen looking at stuff. We didn't have time.
I saw a lot of gray and scarlet and gray on the screens. I didn't see green and white.
Yeah, didn't have any time for any Greenville. Nobody was popping the champagne then. So we're at it right now as we speak, and we'll continue to be at it, and we'll have ourselves a good week.
Coach, let's talk about the game here. 2 teams that have, and again, we look at the series. This is the 140th meeting, but in 139 games, we're just down 1 at 66 to 67 to 6, which again, amazing how tight this series is and how competitive it is. Both teams have the same exact record going into the game Friday night. What is your idea of what the 2024 Troy Trojans look like this year?
I think they look like a team that has a great deal of talent. They're a very diverse offense. They're very solid defense, and their special teams do not make mistakes. And so I think they play the game the way it's supposed to be played in all 3 phases of it.
Yeah, they're a team that when you just watch them a little bit, you can just tell they've got a little bit of everything. They got some size, they got some speed, and they got some guys that really know how to make plays. They were in a very competitive game Friday night against Tip, in a game that could have gone either way. And you credit their ability to make plays at key points in the game.
Oh, definitely. And they were battling. The entire time back and forth. The schedules are very similar. I know they opened up with a Southern team, Middletown. We opened up with Lima Senior, both former GMC
right,
school. They were in the league, before, and both had similar scores against Vandalia Butler. But you can, all those things are nice in terms of how much you're going to put, in terms of dollars and cents down on a game. But you don't bank a lot of that when you're trying to win a high school football game. What you're trying to do is you're trying to say, hey, this is a brand new game, brand new this. There's different people because some people are here, some people are not here, and we've got to play to the best of our ability.
Coach, one of the things I get a lot from people is, hey, do they run the wing T or don't they run the wing T? Talk a little bit about their offense and what we see from them and what's been their kind of trend since the new coach has come in. I guess he's not a new coach, but this is going his 3rd year. So what are some of the things that Piqua fans might be able to see when they watch the Trojans on Friday night?
Well, I think from an offensive standpoint, they kind of mix a little bit of both. They'll get down and run a base, a couple of wing T, some wing T plays. Certain defenses they run in wing T plays, and then they'll also come out shotgun and do some spread stuff in shotgun, use some motion. Create their conflicts with the motion and with the shotgun rather than create the normal conflicts that you would see with the wing T.
Coach, defensively, they've got some guys that are returners, but talk a little about just defensively what we can see from them.
Well, they've been an odd front defense for a fairly long time. Defense very similar to Tip City. There's about 3 or 4 teams running just variations of that 50 odd front defense. Some are a little bit different. The biggest thing is how people are playing their tackles and ends. I think that's the biggest thing. And so they play their tackles and ends just a bit differently than let's say a Vandalia Butler or a Xenia, and a little bit more similar possibly to Tip City.
Coach, one of the things that I'm curious about as we get ready for them, and I say them, Troy, our guys, and we said this every year, we talk about acknowledging the rivalry. So the rivalry for them is they've got other things that they're going to have. Like today, there was a Troy shirt in their locker. Another night there'll be maybe something else in their locker. There's pep rallies this week, so there's a little bit more attention to it. How do you handle that as a coach, talking to them about that? And there's a part of you want to embrace it, accept it, understand it, but also when it's time to practice or when it's time to lock it in on Friday night, it's time to roll.
Well, I think they've got it. I think they understand it. And in some years, I might have to say it a little bit more, but I think this group's fairly, really focused on what they have to do. They came up with the T-shirt. They got their helmet awards today. Everybody said, good. We had a good, solid practice today, and everybody's moved on with their business now. And tomorrow will be the same thing. So I think they're on a really good path on a Monday and on a Friday and Saturday when we came in and watched film, to get this thing accomplished.
Coach, we want to talk about our senior features. We had the Coleman brothers and talk a little bit about them before we speak to them. What are some of the things that those are two guys that when I look at have a great deal of maturity, have a good perspective of their role, and also embrace the Piqua football Indian tradition, and you can tell it just means something to them.
It does, and they're number one. The first thing I say about both of those guys is they're enjoyable to coach. They're enjoyable to be around. If you meet them, even if they're not on your team, they're guys that you enjoy chatting with. They've got something to say. They carry on conversation. They can do this. They can do this, and they have worked their butts off. Since the time they got in here, and most people, have got to understand that, Izzy's probably our leading tackler. Noah is a man playing 3-4 different positions on offense. They both are playing special teams, and neither one of them played that much last year. And it's that typical story of I didn't play as much as when I was a junior. Either A, the coach doesn't like me, B, the coach doesn't like me, or C, whatever the reason may be, I'm probably not going to play next year. Or the other way you look at it is, I want to continue to go in the weight room. I'm going to continue. I've seen other people do this. I have a great work ethic, and those guys have a great work ethic. And as a result, they're now both major contributors to our program. And so our hats off to them, and their perseverance and what they've done.
We need to talk about two guys that live in the same household and have a similar story that, hey, they had to work themselves into the lineup. For me, what I notice is they're not guys that, as you mentioned, they have a chip on their shoulder, so to speak, and they're passing blame or reasons as to why this or why that. They came in this year with the idea that I want to find a way that I can help my team and put our program a step forward, and they've done that so far. We're halfway through the season, and that's the one thing that stands out about those two guys.
Definitely, and just even in Noah's case, Noah was, I think when we started the summer passing leagues and stuff, he was probably number 7 in terms of receivers. He played some, but wasn't playing a lot, and he just kept rolling in, catching balls. One passing scrimmage, he played one play and caught one ball for a touchdown. And he didn't walk out and say, "Hey, look at this." He merely kind of smiled at me, and moved on. Next scrimmage, he got a little bit more time, and he's just moving in, and that's how they both operated. They both operated, and they're well deserving of all the success they have.
Coach, we lucky to have those guys, and I think again just an example to our younger guys that hey, you put the work in. It may not necessarily come when you want it to, but when you put the work in, it will come in due time, and it's certainly happening.
Oh, definitely.
Coach, speaking of happening, it is going to happen on Friday night. The Indians are going to be in the 140th version of this great rivalry, what some may call the greatest rivalry in the state, certainly the most played rivalry in the state. And we wish you all the best as you've finished your preparations for this weekend on Friday night.
Thank you.
Again, we are going to be right here, Indian Nation Station. You can catch that after the game. Tickets are still on sale. You can get those all the way up to the gate. You can get them online. This is a game you're not going to want to miss. This one is going to be a doozy for sure. Speaking of doozy, we're going to talk to those two doozies, the Coleman brothers, Izzy and Noah, when we come back on the Bill Nieces Coach Show when we return.
Welcome to part 2 of the Coach Nieces Show. Show brought to you by Robert Brothers Comfort System and Dick Lumpkin Auto Body. We're the players portion. These guys are going to introduce their names and the positions that they play.
My name is Noah Coleman. I play receiver and H-back. My name is Israel Coleman. I play running back and outside linebacker.
All right, guys, let's talk about it right from the get-go. Coleman's. What's the relation?
Brothers.
Brothers. How does that feel to be together your senior year? And you guys have done this throughout your career, but your senior year, going out together, what's that feel like?
Feels good, one last time playing with each other. That's all I gotta say.
Feels good. It's been like a competition our whole career, like competing against each other and all that.
But in a good way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, speaking of competition was good the other night. Indians get their second win, and we are on a good roll. We are 2-0 at home, Alexander Stadium. Talk a little bit about Friday night. It's the big game. It's the game that that talks about. What's that game mean for you guys? Battle of the Miami-Troy game.
The Battle of the Miami-Troy game just means a lot to me. Like, I like the atmosphere leading up to it and the atmosphere during the game. It like makes everybody play better on our team. It just makes a huge difference.
It means a lot because, like the whole community, Troy and Pick was going to be here to watch us play. Just feels like you're just going to play good. I like people.
You guys had good performances the other night. Talk a little bit about that win and what that was like for you guys to be able to get the momentum before we get into the Troy game.
Yeah, it's because, we just played Tip. Wasn't that good, but we came in and played Greenville, played amazing. All that momentum's going to go forward into Troy, so I think we'll play real good.
I think that win gave us like a boost and a head start to our game, leading forward into it. And like we just feel used to winning now just because of that win.
Good. Let's talk a little bit about Pickle football. We talked a little bit about the rivalry, but what's it like to be a part of the program, Pickle football? What does that mean to you? And obviously, you guys, as a family, you know what it means to you. But individually, the time you put into it, because it's a year-long commitment. What's Pickle football?
Pickle football means a lot to me. I just love this program. It's good to be in. It's one of the best. It's just amazing to be a part of.
It means you just got to be dedicated, be here every day, put the work in, you will get good outcomes.
We talk a lot Coach does about, he thinks it's the word of the culture is overused, but you talk about environment, the expectations that he puts out there. Obviously, you guys are going every week about film and scouting reports. I just sat there with you and watched scouting reports for tonight or for this week. The expectations that Coach talks about, though, aren't those things like coming to practice every day, on time and early, being prepared, all those things. How does that help you with the next step in your life, or whatever that is?
It helps a lot because drives us like don't miss the weight room, be here, eat good breakfast. Always you gotta do the little things before the big things come.
He teaches us a routine basically for our life. Like his advice leads on more than just football. It's just great advice.
So let's talk about what that next chapter is. You guys are going to be graduating at some point here in the next few months. You'll be right here at Alexander Stadium. It'll be a different kind of a stage for you than what will be on Friday night. But what's maybe next for both of you guys?
For me, it'll probably be joining the workforce because I'm in the apprenticeship program for welding at the Career Center. And I'm hoping to get a job at Hartselle, so I'll probably be working by then.
For me, I'm still undecided.
That's okay. You guys certainly have a plan, but you got a good foundation. And as you alluded to, what you get through the football program, but also you guys are hardworking guys. You have a lot of pride in what you do, not just on the field, but off the field, and we certainly wish you luck.
Thank you.
But the center stage takes on Friday night. The stage will be right here at Alexander Stadium in what will be the 140th edition of the Battle of the Miami right here at Alexander Stadium. 7 p.m. kickoff. Troy comes to town. Pickla 2-0 here at Alexander Stadium this year. You can catch the game on WPTW, but you can also catch the game afterwards on the Indian Nation YouTube channel, and you will be able to catch, again, highlights on the Coach's Show next week. Guys, thanks for your time, and we know this is going to be good. Wish you guys all the best for Friday night.
Thank you.
We will see you next week. Again, you can catch the game on the Indian Nation station, on the YouTube channel, immediately after the game. For the Coleman Brothers, I'm your host, Chip Hare. We'll see you next week.